Audience,
Wow.
say hi.
Hello.
Are you afraid? Cool. Yay. Stay. Alright, good evening, I'm Grace Spieglin. And recently I found a quote that basically describes my first job experience this summer. I started my first job. Here, the Bill Gates quote, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning." I take that to heart a lot of times during my work experience. I'm sure each of you have worked in retail have had experiences where a customer has been frustrated or just had a weird preference that you didn't quite understand, and you felt like being very angry and frustrated at them to compensate for them making you very frustrated. And even if you haven't worked in retail, you've probably seen a bunch of these customers before and maybe not necessarily felt their anger, but been annoyed that they have been making a scene in front of you as you wait impatiently in the back of their line. And here are a few stories that I have experienced in these past couple of months with my first job. The first one happened during training. It was about 8 a.m. because I was training with Angela, who usually worked the first shift every day, weekday. And about 8 a.m. a woman comes in and Angela points at her and says, "Hey, that lady's probably gonna smell your hands, so watch out." Yeah, and then I think that's weird, obviously. Why would a customer smell your hands? So I just kind of brush it off and think, whatever, she's probably messing with me. And then 30 minutes later, she comes through my line and Angela's like, "Hey, look at her, be careful." When she gets to the front of the line, I start scanning as I usually do. "Hi, how are you?" Stuff like that. And then literally 3 items in, she does this. "Do you have anything scented on your hands?" And no, because I don't usually wear scented lotion, neither of us do. So we said no, and then she was like, "Okay, good, because the scent seeps through the plastic and makes your food taste bad." Obviously, she wasn't thinking quite right. Yeah, and the whole time as we're checking her out after that interaction, she kind of stands there like this, not quite impatiently, but angrily, suspiciously looking at us as if we've lied to her. Yeah, and then after I say, "Here's the receipt, have a nice day," she's like, "You too," all friendly as if nothing bad had happened. Yeah, and at the end of it all, I stayed calm throughout the whole thing, as I was taught. But when she said that the plastic lets in the scent, I kind of felt like questioning it, but I know that from the quote that that it's a great source of learning, and it's very rewarding to just stay calm and not create a bigger scene than would have already been heard. And then about a month later, another scene occurs. It starts off pretty normal. The customer walks in, "Hi, how are you?" Stuff like that. I start checking out her items. And then when I get to one particular item, like a 6-pound hunk of meat about this big, she says, "Hey, that's not the sale price." And I explain how the meat department sales work, and it's kind of a weird sale price, or as a sale, like a weird sale. And she doesn't exactly accept it, but she believes me because cashiers should know what they're doing. And once I turn it in, at the end of the sale price, she says, "That's not the amount that I should get off." Yeah, and then I check the pounds and then the price of it, and I say, "Yeah, you should be getting at least $2 more off of that." So I call over the manager and say, "Hey, can you fix this coupon for me?" And she tries to fix it multiple times, and at this point the lady and her mom, who is with her, are getting very visibly aggravated with me and Kathy, the manager. And then she starts arguing with her mom over what price is going to be taken off at the end. And Kathy is also getting very frustrated with them. So she's like, "Here, let me back up the transaction and go to the service desk." And they stand there for about 20 minutes arguing about nothing. And then at the very end, before she leaves, without the meat, she says, I'm going to call the Department of Agriculture and shut down your business." And then storms off. But the next day, she comes in just as angrily, with her arms crossed, coming through my line again. She says, "This price better be right." And then it is right at the end. And then she does the same thing that the lotion lady does, just brushes off all her anger and says, "Have a nice day, thank you." That was one of the most frustrating things I'd ever had to deal with, an angry customer just ignoring what happened, essentially. But again, as the quote says, your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. And I learned, again, that it is a lot better to just stay calm and not create a bigger scene than needs to be seen at the store, or at the scene of the incident. Yeah. And from your guys' end as customers, please do not be crazy and create a scene. Just respect the prices. Thank you.
That was much better than the last.
Yes, you guys up?
We're all still here.
Yeah.
Still here. Good job, Chris.
Yay.
Yay.